am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined by Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Fantabulous, buddy.
All right. Listen, man. Today's episode is kind of like a melancholy, I think, kind of episode, but almost a celebration as well. Last week, we lost the great Brian Wilson. I think when you talk about Mount Rushmore of songwriters, I think Brian Wilson is easily on that Mount Rushmore.
Can't argue that. I mean, if you look at the catalog that he put out in a relatively short period of time too, when you think of the Beach Boys too, as far as the big hits collection, is really a span of about maybe 10 years, right?
Well, yeah, he put out music. He didn't record a lot, and then there was a time in his life where he was basically kidnapped. And you know what? Let's bring in our guest tonight so we can kind of like discuss this, and then we'll do our top 5 list. He's been on the show before. He's a comedian. He's one of our buddies. We welcome to the show Ken Krantz. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing well. What's going on, fellas? I can't get this light in my basement right. It always looks like heaven's about to suck me up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
What do you think about Brian Wilson? Mount Rushmore songwriters, in your opinion?
I was talking about this with a friend today, knowing that I was coming on, and I was thinking about rock and roll, right? Like undisputed geniuses of that generation, American songwriters. And I think it's such a small list. Like the Mount Rushmore for me is Brian Wilson. Who's that producer that killed that lady? Phil Spector.
Well, is he a songwriter or is he a producer?
He was a songwriter and a producer. He wrote a good chunk of those songs.
Okay.
And then I would say maybe Bob Dylan, and then like either Prince or Sly Stone. But yeah, he's right up there on a small list.
The Prince. I talked about this with a friend. That name didn't come up, but I like that addition to it. I think you got to put guys like into consideration guys like Jim Steinman, who just wrote at one point he had the number 1, number 2 song in the country.
Was that the Meatloaf fella?
Yeah, Meatloaf guy.
Yeah, but the 2 hits that he had were Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart, and Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All. I also think maybe you got to put Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen on there. I mean,
100%.
Prolific songwriters, just great songwriters. Or maybe even someone like James Taylor or Carole King.
What?
A songwriter?
You got 17 people on your Mount Rushmore?
I'm throwing nominees out there. I'm not putting
fucking indecisive.
He's a good songwriter. He's not in the Mount Rushmore. Sly Stone?
Yeah, I'm saying as like a musician, songwriter, and producer, like people that did all of it. Like I don't think of like Springsteen or Billy Joel as producers. They weren't producers, and also I feel like neither one of them reinvented the way. And I'm a huge Springsteen fan. I said I love Springsteen, but I like he's amazing at what he does. But I don't think he broke any new ground.
What do you think? Well, what do you think about longevity, and that even to into the 2020s, the guy's still putting out quality music?
Who, Bruce?
Yes.
Nah, come on. It's been a while.
Yeah, last record was pretty good.
The cover record, the covers.
No, he had the original album. Last one was 3 years ago.
In the 2000s, I'll still put albums like Magic, Western Stars. I don't think those are terrible albums. I think they're pretty good.
Magic was a good for me, everything post Magic was very meh.
You would like the last record. It's a solid record. There's some songs there from 1971 and 72 that he wrote that he re-recorded, and they sound as good now, and knowing that they were written 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a solid record. He's putting out that box set. Remember the Tracks box set, Jeff?
I love that.
So they got the second version coming out, and they're releasing like one song a week for the last like.
Yeah, and I haven't liked any of the songs. Have you?
The only one I know is Repo Man because he plays that live a lot.
Yeah,
but the rest are just not good.
I think when going back to the Mount Rushmore, I think when you look at overall Mount Rushmore, I think you put Lennon McCartney. I think no brainer. I think you put Brian Wilson, maybe you put Jagger Richards, and then I think the other one could be Dylan, and it's up for debate on that fourth spot. What do you guys think?
Well, I was thinking I took all the British dudes out of it. I was thinking like Americans.
Well, now let's just talk. Now let's go overall. So put the British dudes back in there.
If you put the British dudes in there, I think you're right. It's Lennon, McCartney, Jagger, Richards. I would say Brian Wilson and Bob Dylan.
Yeah, that's.
I can second that. Even though I despise Dylan with a passion, I can agree to that.
And we're talking about as a songwriter. His lyrics. Are almost unparalleled.
Yeah, I agree. I just can't stand him. It was to this day the worst concert I ever went to in my entire life.
Yeah, he's hit or miss live.
Yeah,
it was July 4th in an outdoor arena, and like within 20 minutes, half the people left, and there was like thousands of people there.
Yeah,
they were just filing out. He was absolutely horrific.
I saw him with Tom Petty, and Tom Petty opened, and that was definitely a mistake.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Tom Petty could be on that list too. Man, great songwriter too.
Yeah, but I like Brian Wilson. To me, it wasn't just the songwriting; it was the production.
Well, it's everything, and we'll get into that like when we give our list, and we can give a little synopsis of the songs. But remember, there was that time in Brian Wilson's life where his life was basically taken over by that Dr. Eugene Landy. And it was like I don't know, was it 10 years where he kind of held him like prisoner?
Yeah, he was kind of like he was like the original Britney Spears. Like this dude was making all his decisions. It was almost like people should have been like free Brian.
Yeah. Yeah. They medicated him up, and wouldn't let his family go see him. And did you ever see the movie?
He was giving himself songwriting credits.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys ever see the movie Love and Mercy?
Yeah.
Brilliant movie.
Great.
Yeah, great movie. I thought Paul Dano was great as young Brian Wilson. But that gave you some, and what's his name? Paul Giamatti as Brian Landy, man. That was awesome as well. But it gave you like real insight into his life. I would like to see a little bit more of that. But anyway, let's get into
the director's cut.
No, I would like to see like a different movie. I think that could have been a longer movie. I would almost, I think there's so much more to the story, dating back to Wilson's abusive father, his growing up, his love of baseball, which I don't think a lot of people really knew about, and then at the end of his relationship, and how he gets rekindled with his daughters and his family, and just the relationship he also had with his brothers. I think that's something. Listen, you can't put that all in a 2-hour movie, otherwise it becomes The Irishman. I don't know if we ever spoke about that on the show. So let's do our top 5 songs, and we'll start with our guest. Ken, give me us your number 5 Beach Boys song.
I didn't do this in any particular order, but hold on, I gotta pull it up. And I felt like, I'm going to tell you now, I didn't put God Only Knows on it because I feel like everybody was going to put that on, and that is such a great song. So the song I took from Pet Sounds, I took Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Wow, great song. I have that on my list.
Okay. I do too, actually. I have it on mine as well.
What would you go with, Sean? You going to go with Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Well, if I'm going to go top 5, I can do the same thing. I don't have to put them in any order either.
You have to put them in.
One of my first introductions to the Beach Boys was, and it's going to be, I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me for this, but I love Kokomo.
But it's not a Brian Wilson song.
What?
It's not a Brian Wilson song.
It's a Beach Boys song, though.
Yeah, it's not Brian Wilson.
No, but he's just saying that's how he was introduced to it.
That's how I was introduced to it, you know? So then I kind of went backwards a little bit. You know, I always heard him growing up, but that was one of my favorite songs actually growing up as a little kid. So I kind of put that, I stuck that on the list at number 5. But
no, he didn't do it right. That's not a Brian Wilson song.
Then I'll take it off. That's no problem. Hold on. I'll take it off. I have backups. Don't worry.
Fucking Mike Love song.
He's a fucking John Stamos.
I will go with a 1965 hit because this is also my godmother's name, and a song I used to sing all the time was Barbara Ann.
Oh wow! We got lists from people.
Popular song, but it's not their most popular song, if that makes sense.
You ever hear the Who's version of that?
I have not.
Keith Moon. His favorite band was the Beach Boys.
That's right.
He was completely obsessed with the Beach Boys. When he moved to California, it was because he was trying to live the Beach Boys lifestyle. And they on I think their first record they do a cover of Barbara Ann.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is very true. Ken kind of like shit on my number 5 pick here, but I did say God Only Knows.
No, I'm not shitting. I just thought it would be on everyone's list. That song's brilliant.
It is.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I had to pick something off of Pet Sounds. You have to. I mean, I think I picked more than one, but a lot of people don't know that was a B-side. That was the B-side to Wouldn't It Be Nice? McCarthy said it was his favorite song. It's an interesting song because we talk about arrangements and writing a song. It had French horns in it. It had accordions in it. It had harps, a harpsichord. It had sleigh bells. It took him 22 times to get it just right. And when the song came out, it wasn't a song that was really well received. It peaked in the United States at number 39. But I think when you look back, when history looks back on the song, you look at it and just say, man, it's one of the most motivating, brilliant songs written, and kind of pushed the needle a little bit, especially with Lennon and McCarthy, having to top it.
Wait, I can't tell if, am I just so high that I'm hearing wrong? Are you saying McCarthy or McCartney?
What am I saying, McCarthy?
Sean, are you hearing this? I'm like,
I've been listening to this for 5 fucking years, Ken. Yes, he's a stuttering, mumbling prick. I see it at least once a month.
But I keep thinking, like, well, that can't. He's on there. They're on his Mount Rushmore. He must know it's McCartney.
No, it's not you. It's me.
I feel a little better.
Okay, so you're not tripping yet.
You know what? I will agree with Ken for one thing is, and I'll elaborate why I agree with him. I didn't put God Only Knows on it either. Not for any reason, but I think it's just one of those songs that just goes into a different class, if that makes sense. Like, you can't say what's the best Queen song. Everybody is going to say Bohemian Rhapsody. You have to take Bohemian Rhapsody out of that equation because it's a masterpiece.
Right. We did that with Springsteen when you couldn't put Born to Run on your list. Right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I didn't put it on either. I don't consider it as like it's a different level.
You ever hear David Bowie's version of it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the worst cover song in the history of music. It's that, or if you ever heard Rod Stewart do You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, but he changed it to Natural Man. It's a fucking coin toss.
I'm sure it is true. How about Madonna's? We should do an episode of terrible covers. Madonna's American Pie is fucking brutal.
I've never heard that.
Oh, it's
that's a bad one. That is a bad one.
Ken, what sounds before Brian Wilson Beach Boys song?
Heroes and Villains.
Oh wow, that's a deep one too.
Here it was supposed. So after Pet Sounds, he was going to record this album, Smile, that was going to be an even more brilliant album, but it all got stuck in his head. I think that's when he had like the sandbox, and he was really heavy into LSD. Yeah. He had the sandbox under. The sandbox under his piano, so he could feel sand in his toes
in his living room.
But a couple songs got recorded and made it onto different albums. And then I think they recorded it finally maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But I I love that song.
Where are you going to go with Sean?
I'm going to go with Good Vibrations at number 4.
That, I have that on my. That's maybe one of the best singles ever recorded by anybody.
It's just such a cool. Like anybody who listens to that song, whether you like rap or country or metal, you got to listen to that song and still like it.
I mean, Ken talked about starting to use drugs and LSD. Yeah, he was definitely on drugs when he did that. There were rumors he was on LSD. He wrote it. He wrote it on the piano in his living room, high on
LSD,
on marijuana, and then supposedly took more drugs to just to kind of get the song in his head. He used over 30 musicians to record this thing. 90 hours of tape that they have on this song. It's considered one of the most influential recordings in history. The use of cellos and synthesizers, and it definitely is a drug song. That's what he said. Good vibrations. That's what the good vibes. Good vibrate. That's what the song's about.
Is that what vibes mean?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's the vibes. I think unfortunately commercialism killed the song because it became associated with soda. And
I understand that. Like, you ever hear a really good song, like from like a big artist, and you're saying in your head, "Fuck, I know this is going to be in a commercial in a little while." Like, I'm a big Chris Stapleton fan, and when I heard the song "Traveler," I'm like, "Oh, dude, this is so good to be like a Dodge Ram commercial in like a year and a half." And it was not even a year, and it was a fucking like nationwide commercial or something.
I hate that, and I think Good Vibrations is a quintessential. They put it in a commercial, and it just ruined the whole meaning of what the song's about.
I listened to that song today, and it still sounds fucking great.
It is a great song. What's your number 3 song, Ken?
Surfer Girl.
That's a good song.
I love Surfer Girl. I was reading about it today, and somebody said it might be rock's first emo song.
It's great harmonies in that song. Like almost like Crosby, Stills, and Nash level.
The harmonies in it are brilliant. It's so weird to think that like that dude's father beat him into like Surfer Girl or Help Me Rhonda.
Yeah.
Like you would think it would be like more tortured.
You would think.
You would. I understand where you're going with this, though.
Or
this is not like a normal bomb. I actually know where you're going with this too. So,
or maybe he was literally like, "Help me, Rhonda. My dad's kicking the shit out of me."
I think it's like an SOS. Okay. All right, Sean. Two fucking assholes.
What a shit show. I actually, speaking of harmonies, there's a lot of great harmonies in this song, which is one of the reasons I wanted to put it in here. Was I Get Around?
That's a great song.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of. I like the mid '60s era, Beach Boys stuff, like the more poppy, real poppy stuff. So, and that's another one again with the really high harmonies to carry into the chorus. So that's where I went with that for number 3.
What I like about that song, really short song, only like 2 minutes and 12 seconds, actually inspired by the Chiffons' One Fine Day, written by Carole King. What this song was famous for, this is the song that do you remember when Love and Mercy came out? There was a lot of interviews going on about what was going on behind the scenes and not only the making of the movie, but like the time period that this took place in. And during the recording of I Get Around, Brian's father, Murray Wilson, caused disruptions during the recording of this, criticizing the song, criticizing Brian, constantly calling him a loser, how the music sucked. People said he never really stood up to his father. His father smacked him, made him partially deaf in an ear. But this is the one time where his father pushed him to the point where he actually physically, the only time in his life, they said, where he actually physically shoved his father and just broke down and just put his hands on his dad. But it is a great song. I'm going to go with my number 3. This is a B-side of Be True to Your School. I like In My Room. only again a song that only peaked at 23. Brian wrote it after playing about in an hour after playing a game of baseball in 1963 with his brothers. He always said his room was like his whole world. He thought of his room as his kingdom, and he shared a room with his brothers Dennis and Carl, and they would practice this song and sing the harmonies in this. Great song.
That is a great song.
All right, we got two more to go. Go ahead, Ken. What's your number two?
I Don't Worry, Baby.
Yeah, great song. That's my number two as well.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's such a great song.
I mean,
he heard the Ronettes.
That's right.
Do Be My Baby.
That's right.
And he wanted, and they said he was obsessed with it. Like he listened to it thousands of times. And then he wanted to make something that great, but feels that he fell very short. But I'd say that song almost is as good as Be My Baby. Like it's a pretty perfect pop song.
I love it. I think it's great. He actually wanted Phil Spector to produce this song.
Yeah.
And then changed his mind. And again, this is one of those songs that was also a B-side. This was the B-side.
He offered it to Ronnie Spector. I'm sorry. He offered it to Ronnie Spector for her to sing, and she didn't want it. So then he gave it to the band.
Yeah, I could see her singing that.
Yeah. Well, I guess her thought was that, I just did Be My Baby. So, like why this, I mean, once you hear Be My Baby, you see what he was going for. So
right.
Maybe she was just like, I'm not trying to retread.
Right. Which makes sense. What would you say, Sean? What would you say your number two would be?
So I go with the poppier stuff of the Beach Boys only because I just think of them as one of the greatest pop bands that I've ever heard. So I go with California Girls.
That's a great one.
I think it's just a fun, happy song. I try not to like listen to anything depressing when it comes to the Beach Boys. I want to just have fun and just think about sunshine and being outside and shit. And plus this came out to be a fantastic cover by David Lee Roth too.
Great video.
Yeah, it was a great video actually. Yeah.
Mike Love didn't like the song, but he loved the video.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, when you put on the Beach Boys, I mean, Beach Boys is really like summertime music, hanging out by your pool.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
it's just chill. It's outdoors. You know what I mean? Like it's not in fucking November at a pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
I was surprised how I remember when I was a little kid, like maybe 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 or something. My dad went to a conference, and they'd hired the Beach Boys to play the conference, and they gave everybody a free greatest hits tape cassette.
That's a
my dad brought it back and gave it to me, and I remember looking at the cover, and it was all these like dudes with surfboards, and I'm reading the names of the songs, and I just remember thinking like, this sounds so bad. This looks and sounds like it's just gonna suck. And I put it in and I hit play, and at first I was like, oh, this is so cheesy, this is so corny. But I kept listening to it, and then I realized I just had to admit that these were fucking great songs.
Yeah, my second concert I ever went to was Culture Club and the Beach Boys.
When was that?
And I think that was probably like 86, maybe 87. It was right before. Very weird pairing, yeah. But I remember my mom taking me to that show because she was, obviously a big Beach Boys fan growing up. And I obviously liked Culture Club growing up. That was my era. And it was a weird combo. But, yeah, it was a great tour. It was at the old Continental Arena at the time.
I saw
you got luckier than I did. I saw him 20 years ago at the Art Center.
With Chicago?
No. You know who opened? Fucking Bo Diddley.
Bo Diddley?
Wow.
Bo Diddley opened for the Beach Boys. That was awesome. He was amazing. It was, like towards the end of his life, obviously.
Sure.
This may have even been longer than 20 years ago. And a friend had gotten free tickets. So I was like, yeah, I'll go see the Beach Boys for free. The Beach Boys were awful, man. Like, we walked out after 4 or 5 songs. I was like, I want my money back. I know I didn't pay, but I want my money back.
Was Brian Wilson in the band?
No. In fact, I think, what's the Full House dude?
John
I
Stamos.
think John Stamos may have come out with them at one point.
Oh, and now he's a featured guy. I just saw them last year. Yeah, he's like a main guy in the band.
Oh, yeah, they played See Here Now a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, they're playing PNC, I think, this week. Yeah, well, the next coming.
Oh, last weekend.
They played already?
Yeah, we just missed it.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, listen, Mike Love. He's in his 80s now. He can barely stand, let alone sing. He's on the verge of becoming Frankie Valli. You know, that fucking mess.
That is so hard to watch, dude. Those videos.
It's not. I've watched so many of them. It's not hard at all.
And what is your number one, Brian Wilson?
We already did my number one. I did Good Vibrations, but then I went and looked back, and I would also take off of Pet Sounds, I'm Waiting for the Day.
Okay.
That's a solid pick.
The drums at the end of that, they sound like when the military drums almost. Oh, I fucking love that song. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing about Pet Sounds is like the actual sounds they put in there. This is stuff that wasn't on like rock recordings. I mean, it was just revolutionary. And really, you talk about being influential. I mean, it has to be one of the top, Mount Rushmore of influential albums.
Well, the Beatles said that's what made them write Sgt. Pepper's. They were trying to, and I like, for me, Sgt. Pepper's is pretty low down on the list of Beatles albums. But, I mean, what a huge landmark album that was. And that was just Lennon and McCarthy trying to outdo Brian Wilson.
Who was Lennon's partner again? Joseph McCarthy? I wasn't sure which McCarthy you're talking about.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Love Andrew McCarthy.
Again, I go very basic. I don't go as deep as you guys do, even though I recognize the brilliant genius of Brian Wilson. I go very simple. I think when I think of the Beach Boys era, I think number one is Surfing USA.
Well, I think when I hear the name before,
I think I hear the word surfing, I automatically, before I even think of the sport, it goes right to this song before it even goes to the actual sport for me. If that makes any sense, like that's what I associate.
Makes no
all
sense.
That whole scene of the whole California surfing community revolves around that song to me.
It's a good one. It's
like I said, I don't go deep. I go cheesy pop with this stuff, and if it makes me happy, I don't give a shit.
The thing with the Beach Boys is like their song, they don't have any really I can remember like any big long opuses where these songs.
No,
I mean, like a song 3 minutes, it's over. For me, not we did this in any particular order, but if I'm going to pick 5 songs, one have to be on my list is "Darling." Originally intended for Three Dog Night, sung by Carl Wilson, peaked at number 19 on the U.S. chart. This is Brian Wilson trying to write some blue-eyed soul. He was really into very influenced by some R&B music, and this song was just at the end of the 60s. So it starts to inspire guys like Todd Rundgren in Chicago. When you listen to the early Chicago albums, those were some soulful, jazz influenced albums. Chicago in the 90s is a completely, or was the 80s, 90s was a completely different, 90s Chicago, produced by David Foster. That's a different sounding band. They did away with the horns for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I think this song really did inspire musicians and songwriting. So that's why, I mean, I don't know if it's one of their most popular songs, but I think it's a very good song.
It definitely sounds different than a lot of what's in their catalog.
Right. This
I heard it today. I kind of forgot about it. Like I was preparing for this, if you could believe that. And I kind of forgot about it. And I heard it today. And at first I was almost like, is this even the Beach Boys? Well, isn't it crazy that they weren't surfers?
Yeah, they weren't surfers. But when Sean talks about, and brings up California Girls and fun, and like, these
Surfing like, USA, yeah, they weren't doing it.
Yeah, they, Little Deuce Coupe, all these like little fun ditties, and then you put a song like Darling in there. It doesn't sound like what they normally do. But that's the beauty of the songwriting, is that he was so diverse, and then Pet Sounds again takes it to a different level.
Yeah, you could tell he didn't want to do that kind of music anymore. I don't think he ever really wanted to do it to begin with.
No, and that's the thing that I liked. I think that was the thing in the movie Love and Mercy that they portrayed so well, is that he wanted to get away and have a little bit more of a grown-up sound, where Mike Love wanted the direction of the band, keep doing the formula that works.
That's true.
And I think that's what gave the Beach Boys depth, credibility, where you're just like, they're not a one-trick pony. They can write songs on different levels.
Yeah, he must have felt weird about it, not being a surfer. I remember when you found out, like, oh, this dude doesn't even give a shit about the beach or surfing. That's crazy. That'd be like finding out doesn't even hate Jews.
I heard an old expression one time that said, a good songwriter can make you feel something they felt, but an amazing songwriter can make you feel something they never felt.
Yeah.
All right.
Think about that. Brian Wilson's an amazing songwriter, wrote all these things about the beach and surfing, all that culture, and he was probably a recluse living in his fucking basement.
Yeah, but he also I was disappointed. The only thing that bummed me out when I found this out about Brian Wilson was he didn't write many lyrics. Like, he always had a lyricist, or Mike Love was his songwriting partner for those first few years. He would do the music. Mike Love would write all those cheesy lyrics.
And as the years go on, you see him taking over more of that, though.
No, you see him branching off with other lyricists. The dude that he wrote Pet Sounds with, I forget his name, but the lyricist that he wrote Pet Sounds with was like a jingle writer.
Yeah, and
Brian Wilson would try and convey to him what he wanted to say, and this dude just figured it out.
It was their voices on Pet Sounds, but he winds up bringing in all these musicians. I think a lot of those musicians turned out to be what were those famous musicians in Los Angeles? What they called the Wrecking Crew. Mm-hmm. I think he had like almost that whole Wrecking Crew come in, and still took them take after take to do these songs.
Yeah, and then it doesn't even hit in America. Like, nobody even cares about it. It comes out and in the UK, it's immediately hailed as a masterpiece. But like with most things, it takes America a long time to catch up.
Right, but then when you look back on it, it is, like I said, you have to say Pet Sounds is a top 10 album of all time. Would you say that's true?
Top 5.
You make the argument top 5. I couldn't tell you the last time I listened to it beginning to end, but yeah, you could.
I got it on vinyl like 2 or 3 years ago, like a remastered version of it, and it's just an unbelievable record.
About 10 years ago, Brian Wilson was playing in Radio City, and tickets didn't sell very well. So the week of the show, they put tickets on sale for 1966 prices. So you can get 2 tickets for $66, and you were sitting one level above the orchestra. So Terry and I wound up going. It just worked. It was perfect. I had a show that got canceled. I had nothing to do on a Saturday. We bought tickets, I think, on that Thursday. And we wound up going to Radio City and seeing Brian Wilson. And he had with him Al Jardine and Blondie Champlain. And they came out and played. And he had Al Jardine's son, who sang a lot of the highs. And they were excellent. It was such a good show. I couldn't believe it. I'm seeing Brian Wilson in Radio City for $66.
Yeah, I've never got to see him, though. I only saw the Mike Love version. Both times I saw them.
I passed on seeing Brian Wilson just a few years ago at the State Theater in New Brunswick. And then I was wondering, like, oh, man, am I going to regret that? But then my brother told me that it was one of the saddest concerts. He ended up, like, he said he felt like it was elder abuse.
I hate that. Yeah, there's certain people that are like that. Like you see them getting carted out. Like Willie Nelson,
just trot him out. Yeah.
Yeah, like I love Willie Nelson. I have seen him probably as much times as any person I've seen band wise. But at this point, man, it's hard to watch him play. He has to be carted out. He sits in the chair. He's holding his guitar like this. He's barely singing. He's got his son who plays backup for him, Lucas, who sounds identical to him too. So Willie barely gets the notes out, and then Lucas just takes all the harmonies, so it makes it sound like you're listening to like 1970s Willie Nelson.
Well, what do you want from him? It's like 95. Do you think you're going to be in such great shape? They're going to be trotting you out to do this show?
No, I'm just saying fucking retire at some point.
Who doesn't sound all that good now? I mean, I don't know if you heard any of the recordings of Springsteen.
No, I saw him as of last September. He was fantastic.
I mean, his set list was good, but I'm listening to him sing.
He sounded great. He sounded great.
I don't know, man. Things are slower. It sounds like he's definitely singing these.
Well, yeah, he's slowing what he is doing is he's slowing the songs down. He's playing less songs too in the set list. He's not doing these marathon 35, 36 song set lists anymore. He's cutting it back to like 24, 25 songs, which is still a lot for a 73-year-old dude.
Yeah. Who just came out, just did a show this week was Bon Jovi. And I heard the reviews of that were pretty good.
I didn't even hear about it. Where was it?
Nashville.
Didn't even hear about it.
Yeah. We had a former guest, Matt LaFon, and he reported on it and just said, like, you know, it was a nice mixture of hits, some deep cuts, some newer stuff, and he sounded good because if you heard him a couple of years ago, it was brutal. It was like, you know, it was a shame that this guy, you know, just had to fizzle out at such a young age.
Well, yeah, I saw him in Madison Square Garden a couple of years ago, maybe I would say 7 or 8 years ago, and it was horrible. He was hard. I mean, I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan. I loved him since I was a little kid. But if you watch the documentary series on Hulu, it shows him going through the surgery to repair all the damage and to go through all the physical therapy to get his voice back. And, you know, the last album, he does sound a lot better than he did the past 2 records.
Yeah, he did. Legendary was on that list. Yeah, so there, you know, he did mix it up, and I saw the set list. It looked pretty good. You know what I'm kind of like having regrets on, Sean? We should have gone to
into this podcast.
Yeah, having you on the podcast is one, but
not coming out to your 50s.
No, we should have gone to England to go see that Final Sabbath show.
Yeah, I thought about it. You know what it was? It was kind of the fear of him dying before the show.
They're just going to trot him out too.
Yeah, he's only there. You know, they're only doing like 3 or 4 songs. They are not doing a full set.
No.
But other bands are. Like Metallica is going to be there, Slayer is going to be there, and they're all going to be doing.
There's tons of bands. Yeah, there's tons of bands that are going to be doing like their greatest hits and doing Sabbath songs as well. But I think all in all, Sabbath's only doing like 3 or 4 songs.
Oh, man, I still would have loved to have gone. I mean, just to see him do War Pigs, say Iron Man, and Paranoid. I mean, the 3. I mean,
that's probably the 3 they're going to do.
Right. I just one more time. I mean, I've seen almost every incarnation of Sabbath. I've seen him with fucking Gillan as the singer. Ian Gillan. Okay? I mean, Dio was great. The first 2 albums with Dio are fantastic. But, man, nothing ever reaches, you know, Sabbath opening up with War Pigs and Ozzy on stage singing it. That was the best. That was, you know...
I've seen it a million times, man. It is an amazing show. If it's either Ozzy solo or if it's Sabbath with Ozzy. And I've seen Dio with Sabbath. I saw the Halford show when Halford filled in.
That must have been good.
That was an amazing show. I have it on bootleg somewhere. I'll have to find a copy of it. But I mean, yeah. So I go deep with it too, but I'm not dropping all that coin. That motherfucker gonna die like a week beforehand because I'm too cheap to get the insurance. I'm like, oh, that's $30. No, I'll take the chance, and then the motherfucker will die.
And you see what Norton and Florentine are doing?
Well, they'd probably refund you if he dies, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would hope.
You still have to fly to England. And
Would you get refunded from your ticket?
Did you see this Joe Perry project that's going around?
No, I saw them years ago.
Dude, I got tickets to see him at the Paramount in New York. Listen to this. So it's Joe Perry. It's Joe Perry and the other dude from Aerosmith on guitar.
Oh, Whifford, right?
Brad Whitford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rhythm section from Stone Temple Pilots.
The drum and the bass.
Yep.
So
and Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes on lead vocals. And they're going to be doing Joe Perry Project, Aerosmith, Stone Temple Pilots, and Black Crowes songs.
When is this?
Yeah.
It's in August. Me and my wife already got tickets. She is so unimpressed with this.
Give us a date. Maybe we'll go.
August 23rd. It's a Saturday night. To see fucking Chris Robinson singing like Big Empty or Interstate Love Song or Vaseline or fucking No More, No More.
I could dig this.
Chris Robinson is one of my favorite. He's one of the best frontmen of all time.
When is it? The 23rd, you said, right?
28th. Yeah. Saturday, August 28th.
August 28th is not a Saturday.
Hold on. I don't have my glasses. You could be right. You're right. It is the 23rd.
Okay. So I'm out on Long Island on the 22nd. I would just stay out there and just, you want to go? You want to do that, Sean?
Paramount in Long Island, or New York?
New York. Where is that? I don't know.
Like Yonkers, right?
I don't know. Hold on.
Because the Paramount's in Long Island, I think, in Huntington.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. I would go see that show. That's a great show.
Maybe I don't even know the theater.
Maybe it's not even Joe Perry Project.
No, it's definitely them.
I think it's
maybe I just don't know the name of the theater. But maybe it is Long Island. But I thought it was like. Hold on.
We'll find it.
Is this all recording still? I'm so high.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's okay.
Wow. All right.
We only have 160,000 followers. It's fine.
Really? There's no way.
Yeah.
It's the Capitol Theater.
Capitol Theater. Thank you.
Portchester?
Yes. Thank you.
Jefferson?
Portchester, New York.
Portchester.
Yeah, Portchester.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oz.
There he is.
I forgot that dude.
Do we leave off any songs that you like from the Beach Boys?
Yeah, Surf's Up. That was a great one, which originally was supposed to be on Smile. It was originally supposed to be on Smile, but ended up on Surf's Up.
Yeah, that and Hero and Villains. Like there was a couple, but then I listened when they put Smile out a few years ago, and a lot of it was just dumb.
Yeah,
like they're like that song about eating all your vegetables.
Was Hawaii on the album too? Yeah, do you know what song I'm talking about?
What song?
He wrote a song that was inspired by Hawaii, and he called it Hawaii. And they play it now in their live set, but I just think it's I don't know, it just does not fit as a Beach Boys song. So I figured it had to be from that same time period of Smile. I didn't know Smile stuff, to be honest with you.
Like I said, I don't go past like 67, and then I jump right to Kokomo.
Kokomo is a great song.
If you don't like sad music, Pet Sounds isn't for you.
No, I love Pet Sounds. It's an amazing, beautiful record. It really is, but I don't go super, super deep.
They had a song in the 80s. It wasn't Brian Wilson, called "Get You Back," which was a really good pop song. That was a Mike Love. That's probably I like it actually better than Kokomo. Oh, actually, Kokomo I do like a lot too. You know those songs?
It's a sweet song.
Yeah,
I never heard that.
yeah, it's on the same album that they did. They did a cover, and they do it in a live set. They did a cover of "California Dreamin'," which was also really good.
Back in the 80s,
Oh yeah, I
that
just
was
heard that today for the first time. Yeah, I'm kind of
was
like
way
Sean. After
more-
Pet Sounds, I really don't know too much.
Yeah,
I was way more of a Monkees fan in the 80s growing up because of the whole resurgence on
Yeah.
MTV when they started playing the TV show. And my mom was a fan, so I had all the records already. So I was way more of a fan of the Monkees than the Beach Boys.
you know, you sent that list of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubs, and the Monkees are on there. Is that a legit
What?
snub?
No,
You don't think the
wait.
should the
I
Monkees?
don't think the Monkees belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. No,
You don't.
oh,
100% they do.
I could name 10 bands that should be in before them.
Well, I can't argue that point either, but I can also say that I do think they belong in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I have this argument with Trevor Lease all the time. I agree with Ken. I pick a million bands over the Monkees before they get in the Rock Hall of Fame.
This is why me and Trevor Lease are tight and Morton, you're not.
I mean, the fact that Maiden isn't in is a fucking crime. I can't take it.
There's so many of them, dude. There's so many of them. We were talking about this. I don't know if I sent this to you, Jeff, but I sent it to Ken that the B-52s and Devo are touring together.
Am I supposed to get excited over that?
Well, Ken's a big Devo fan, but like I know 2 songs of theirs. Like I only know like
Whip It.
and the Satisfaction Stones cover.
Yeah, then they
that's
also had,
great.
what else did they have? They had a couple other ones. Freedom of Choice was a good one.
Freedom of Choice, Uncontrollable Urge,
Yeah, they had a
Crew
couple.
Being Cool, Jocko Homo.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I went right to the hair metal.
You know how many bands were influenced by Devo?
Oh shit! Well, a lot of bands were influenced by Kraftwerk too, and they suck.
I guess I can't really argue that.
Can't argue that point. We all agree
I've
on that.
never heard the song "Pocket Calculator."
I've not.
Was that by Wet
Adam,
Leg?
is there any chance that you can pull a "Pocket Calculator" by Kraftwerk?
Yeah, let me see.
I think that'd be a perfect way to end this. That way, these two idiots can hear this song. This is brutal. This is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. But people were influenced. It's like, oh, if it wasn't for Kraftwerk, you don't get what's that band with Tom York?
Radiohead.
Yeah, Radiohead.
Well, Kraftwerk inspired a lot of Bowie's best work.
Yeah, Bowie. Everything he recorded
The
was.
whole Berlin trilogy.
Yeah, I like Bowie, but come on. Yeah. Everything you have a thought of don't have to be put on record. Kind of like with Prince sometimes. Oh, you got Pocket Calculator? Let's hear a little bit.
Yep, I got it.
Yeah, let's hear a little Pocket Calculator. It sounds like an Atari game.
It does sound like an Atari game.
Very 8-bit.
Did they say this song specifically is hugely influential?
This is one of the
Operator with my pocket calculator. I'm the operator with my pocket calculator.
somehow they did not put the word masturbator in.
Can you, Adam, pause it for 1 second?
I gotta be honest, I'm not that mad at that.
Really?
I just really want you both to know the edible kicked in 90 seconds ago. And that was fucking awesome.
I'm not that mad, maybe
I am
because I'm
downloading the fuck out of that song, dude.
like, maybe I gotta go check out Kraftwerk.
This is working against me. Okay.
Well, Bowie knows what's up.
He doesn't know.
I'm telling you.
I've had enough of this show. If you guys are digging Kraftwerk, okay,
That was a good
it
song.
was not a good. Oh, come on!
I know I gotta get high and listen to some of them in headphones, and then I will let you know what I think. But I wasn't
No,
that mad at
seriously.
that.
Ken, you know when it happens, like when you hit that one point where it just like takes off, right?
Yeah.
It literally was when Adam hit the fucking play button. That was awesome.
Ken,
Now I'm happy.
Where can people find you and what you got going on?
Yeah, tell us about your podcast too.
There's I Love Rock and Roll. And there's also A Bit Too Much. You could find wherever you stream shit, I guess. Ken Krantz comic.
All right. And what you got going on, Sean? Anything good?
I am headlining Ken's absolute favorite club on the planet, Catch a Rising Star in Princeton, New Jersey, July 12th and 13th.
I love Ken's stance on this.
And I am
Fuck them.
also...
They don't pay you. They pick and choose who they feel like paying and when.
And I'm also playing the Cabaret Theater, the Cabaret Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut, July 18th.
Very nice.
I hope Susie's listening to this. Pay your fucking comics.
I'm sure she's listening to this.
Well, she's a big Brian Wilson fan.
Yes, and she's a big Ken Krantz fan too.
She's definitely not.
No. I don't know.
What about you, Jeffrey? What's going on with you?
I don't know. I'm going to be in Rhode Island. I'm going to be in Connecticut. I'm going to be in Woodbridge on the 28th of June. And I'll be out in Governor's in August, at the end of August. That should be pretty good. I don't know. Just go to my website and just see what I got going on.
You okay, Jeffrey? You need a hug?
Nah. No, I'm done. I really thought you guys were going to hate Kraftwerk as much as I do.
That fucked you up that bad, really?
Yes. You know how
I'm home.
You don't even know how happy I am now that I ruined your fucking night.
No,
On that note, guys, please hit subscribe. Thank you for watching Who's Your Band. Jeffrey can go cry himself to sleep. Thank you again to our amazing guest, Ken Krantz, as usual. I am Sean Kraftwerk Morton. and we'll see you guys next week.